Kyle Patrick is one busy person performing in Xanadu and coming up in American Psycho, plus the new film You're Out. Kyle, it's so great to see you.
It's good to see you too. It's been a while.
It has, and I love that every time that we chat, every 6 months or so, that there's always new and different projects that you're working on, and I love that you have 2 shows and a movie, plus film festivals and some circus stuff that we got to chat about as well too.
Lots to discuss.
Lots to discuss. Let's first go ahead and start with You're Out. People can buy it starting on July 28th. Tell us a little bit about your character of Joe.
Yeah, so my character is the son of one of the primary characters that we follow. It's kind of like the 4 of us on a little road trip. So you'll see a lot of me, you'll see a lot of Alex, you'll see a lot of the rest of them. But most of the time, it's just the antics of us 4.
Now, we have a Chicago director. Your character has a connection to Chicago. Tell me a little bit about, making that a part of this film.
Yeah, so primarily we filmed in the Chicago and the Champaign regions, and then they did travel out of town for the road trip stuff. Some of the footage is actually taken from those locations, but primarily we were in Chicago and Champaign when we filmed this. So it's very locally made. Catherine Mraz, she put together a really great local crew. So pretty much all of the on-screen talent and all of the behind-the-scenes talent you see is Chicago local.
I love this movie. I got a chance to see a preview of it, and I think there's so many things that people can take away from, because obviously there is the parent who maybe didn't fulfill their wish of a career, and I think a lot of kids can see the things that maybe their parents push them into, but also as a parent you can reflect on the things that maybe you push your kids into, and that's a very common thing that I think that happens to so many families.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of issue sometimes with generational trauma and a lot of pressures that parents or grandparents, great-grandparents put on the youth of a family. And so it's really nice to be able to see the outcomes that Joe gets to go through throughout his journey in this film.
The title You're Out has a lot of different meanings for different people. Obviously a baseball term, because it is centered around baseball, but there's so many different themes, especially regarding that title.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited for people to find out the extra meanings that that carries when they watch the film.
Are you a baseball player, a baseball fan? How did you go preparing for this role?
No. I received quite a bit of coaching from people on set, other people that had played baseball before. Sandy's family, Sandy being the writer, one of the writers and the executive producer, her family is very involved in baseball. And so I received a lot of training from some of them. Shannon, who plays my character's father, he played baseball in the past. So we did a lot of bouncing around with the baseball, but no, Kyle had never received any formal training in the past.
but now that you have, you can add it to your LinkedIn profile. You can add it as an extra skill.
Maybe.
But the other, complicated thing too, especially sons and dads and that relationship. It's a very complicated one that we see in this film. No spoilers, obviously, but it's one of those things that people go through, their life maybe not having the best, they might have a different relationship with their mother than they do with their father. And this really explores that. I mean, in such a wonderful way that I really want everyone to see this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really fun to see the different dynamics that my character, specifically having inhabited it, has with the people around him. He has a best friend character that's alongside him throughout most of the film, his mother, as you said, and there's just different dynamics that he carries with all of these different people. And that's really lovely to be able to explore on film and then have people be able to reflect on that in their own personal experience.
What was it like having this shot in Chicago and Champaign? Because, a lot of times people think we have to go East Coast or West Coast, but we'll have this awesome film, filmed in your own city.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no stranger to films in this local region, so it's actually really lovely to see that continuing. Chicago has a huge film market, and I'm really grateful to be able to be a part of that. So, it doesn't have to be East Coast or West Coast is what I have to say to anybody who wants to make film, be in film. There's Atlanta. We've got plenty of great places here in the US that aren't LA or New York.
And I want everyone to see this film, but also until August 13th to go see you in Xanadu.
Yes.
one of the most campiest fun shows that have just built a cult following for the longest period of time. Tell me a little bit about this show and you're part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Xanadu, the stage musical, is actually a show that pokes fun at the famously bad film called Xanadu. If people aren't familiar, Olivia Newton-John was in the movie version of Xanadu, and it's famous for having kind of wrecked her career. So the stage version actually makes fun of the film, and it's very self-aware of the fact that it's on stage. We have a great deal of fun. My character, Terpsichore, is one of the muses that helps Clio, the primary muse, throughout the journey to the end of the plot. And we just have a lot of fun getting Clio and Sunny Malone along their journey. Terpsichore is the muse of dance, so I do a lot of dancing on stage.
And people have until the 13th to go check you out at the Metropolis Performing Arts Center in Arlington Heights. Then you get a little bit of a break.
No.
And then you go right into American Psycho.
I don't get any break. I start rehearsals for American Psycho actually on the 31st. So I will have crossover of the two shows.
As far as the stage production, a show on Broadway, it's done different productions. Tell me a little bit about who you play, because you're playing the lead character, and this is awesome, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So for people not familiar with the film version of American Psycho, Patrick Bateman is having a bit of a crisis throughout this film, and he starts to devolve into psychosis. So throughout the film, we see moments where we're not really sure if it's reality or not. The stage version follows a very similar plot. I don't want to give away too much because I would love if people came to see it. But I am playing Patrick Bateman. So I'm very excited to be covered in blood for the October Halloween season. And I think this show is going to be a big sleigh. But
I love that. I love it. If anybody follows you on Instagram, we get to see a lot of your circus videos that you post and a lot of the acts that you're doing. Incorporating that into possibly a future show. Tell me a little bit about that art that you're doing.
Yeah, I actually so there was intention for me to be in the Bahamas this summer, working at a resort for trapeze, but instead I did end up taking this contract for Xanadu, which is why I am not there and I am here. And I know people are going to say, but the Bahamas, why are you not in the Bahamas? It just wasn't right time for me. It was not exceptional pay. And so I just figured that I would wait for it to be the right time. And instead I would take this Xanadu contract, which would pay me better and also help me develop a new skill. For people not familiar with Xanadu, there's a lot of roller skating. And even though I'm good at roller skating, I was not great at roller skating. And now I am. So it was a great opportunity for me to develop a skill while being paid to develop a skill. Whereas the Bahamas, it was just something that I do all the time. And it would have been lovely. It just wasn't the right time.
And also, it's like 100 degrees here. It's 100 degrees in the Bahamas. So, like, weather-wise, it's about the same.
It's the same. I can just go to the beach and pretend.
We talked about Subsurface, which is the short film that you're entering into different film festivals, and fingers crossed, we'll see that coming up in the fall. But tell me a little bit about having that project as well too.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It was really a lovely moment for me to be on the other side of the table for film. And now that we're in the distribution end of this, we're coming to those final stages. And it's just really rewarding to hear that people have seen this film. It's a really important film to me and to a lot of people that created it. I also made sure that we had a large Chicago film representation in this project. But it's also thematically just very important to me. So knowing that people have seen this project it's kind of emotional, to be completely honest. But yeah, right now we've been accepted into, I believe, 7 festivals. So it's making the rounds. We've submitted it to, probably around 115 so far. So we're still waiting on decisions from maybe about 90 of those. So it's got a long way to go. We're still submitting. It's a very long process and it's very exhausting, but it is so rewarding. So I am not upset about it.
Not at the beast. I'm crossing my fingers for you and the team as well too. I want to talk a little bit about maybe your mindset on what you are like in 2023, because sometimes you have a craft and you're like, I'm just going to focus in on this craft. And the one thing that I admire about you is that, you have a film about mental health, talking about father and son relationships, and you're out. You're roller skating in Xanadu. You're coming up in American Psycho. There's so many different aspects. You're doing circus on the side, still, but like there's so many different aspects, and you're just letting all that creativity flow. And I love that. And maybe talk to maybe some of the other artists out there who may be just honing on one thing, but how you just kind of have to let like every path kind of take its own way.
Yeah, absolutely. I frequently tell friends when they ask, like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to do it all. I want to do whatever brings me joy. And that's kind of what I focus on in the moment. Of course, I have a trajectory. I want to work in the arts, but I think that as long as it's bringing me joy, then that's the proper reward for me. Yes, of course, I need to survive, but I'm making do. And I'm also finding things that bring me joy. So, whenever I go and I fly around in the air on my trapeze in circus, I feel it's kind of ironic. I feel grounded when I'm off the ground in circus. People always laugh about that. Haha. But film production is something I want to continue doing. Definitely stage musicals and straight plays. So it's basically whatever brings me joy in the moment. That's what I focus on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. You're out. Go ahead and order that on Apple and on iTunes. You can go ahead and get that movie starting July 28th, plus Xanadu through August 13th. And then September 14th, go ahead and catch them in American Psycho. I mean, Kyle, this is your time. And hopefully you're enjoying every single moment of this, because I am just so proud of you.
I am. We're moving forward. We also have Walter Grace and the Submarine in post-production, which is going to be amazing. The film looks beautiful. You can catch that on Instagram as well. Walter Grace Sub Movie. I'll say it again. Walter Grace Sub Movie on Instagram.
There you go. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. Great to see you.
Thank you.